It's like a thing, like you can't really tell people, oh, my kid's on medication, do you know what I mean? I've had like a really convoluted kind of journey with mental health, especially like with mental health services in this country as well. Like I was initially diagnosed with depression when I was about 23, I'm 26 now, maybe about 22 actually. And then a couple of years later, I was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder as well.
When was the first time you experienced any of these things and what was that like?
I think I was probably depressed for long before I knew I was depressed.
Okay.
So I think like when you kind of get into that like abyss, you're kind of there for a long time on your own. You're kind of, well, that's how I felt it. I felt like I was there like a long time, kind of like in my own mind, in my own kind of hole, I guess. Like for probably a couple of years before I decided like, look, this shit it's not normal. Like I don't think that the way that I feel like every day is like normal. I need to go and see a doctor and like have them kind of tell me what's going on with my brain and shit, because this doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense that my adult life should be so difficult, because I remember my childhood and teenage years being such a breeze. Like I was always like, I was so calm and collected and I was like cool and like, you know, like I didn't like get flustered about shit and like I wasn't anxious and that kind of stuff. What I feel depression is within myself is just like extreme periods of like prolonged, this is gonna sound weird, just like sadness and loneliness and feeling apathetic, feeling like, you know, I guess not really knowing your position in the world as like from like an existential point of view, but from like a personal point of view, a professional point of view, not really understanding why you're here, like loads of different things like that.
So how does that kind of stuff affect your day-to-day life?
I feel like I think a lot about like, what is the point of me being here? What is the point of like me, like, what's the point of my life? What's like my purpose? What's like the reason that I'm here? Why am I significant? Why have I been thrown into this position and stuff? And just like having loads of thoughts like that all the time, kind of.
How do you cope with these things?
I do loads of creative stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like having an outlet is really important. So I kind of like dabble in lots of art stuff, lots of like making my own t-shirts, that kind of stuff. Like really like kinds of creative ways to just kind of get my energy out. So even like currently I'm learning how to tattoo, so like currently that's like my new thing. I've been learning how to kind of the techniques and stuff, and it's just like things that kind of focus my brain. So I think it's about kind of channeling energy that you have. So I have all of this like pent up energy in me all the time, and I think the important thing about creating something good out of that energy is by channeling it and focusing it into something that you're good at, or not even necessarily good at, something that you enjoy doing.
Yeah.
If you're doing stuff that you care about or that's meaningful to you, that's the stuff that makes like your life worth living.
Yeah.
And that's what I think is important in combating bad mental health.
Yeah. How would you say ways of coping like that compared to like medication?
So medication helps me function on a day-to-day basis, but if I want to have like a plan for the future, I need to have something like therapy on the side. So I go like weekly to psychodynamic therapy, and I'm currently on the wait list for the NHS's DBT scheme, which is dialectic behavioural therapy, which is something that they do for people with behavioural disorders. And so I think that it's really important to like have therapy at the same time as doing medication. I don't think one works, but I also think So on the flip side, I also think that medication is something that I feel like maybe Punjabi people shy away from. I think medication is something that there's a lot of pushback in like Asian communities, especially Punjabi communities. I feel like parents are more likely to be like, oh no, just like go Gurdwara and it'll all be better or whatever. Don't like get into the medication side of things because you'll be addicted to it, you turn into a zombie, whatever. Those are the things that my parents told me. They were like, oh, antidepressants are going to turn you into a zombie. Based on what evidence? They've never had anyone in their families take an antidepressant before in their lives. I don't know where they get this information from. I think it's like a thing, like you can't really tell people, oh, my kid's on medication, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not a thing that is talked about.
Yeah, there's like a stigma attached to those
Exactly.
things, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like I think that medication is really helpful on a day-to-day basis, but I also think that you need to have it in combination with therapy or like other kinds of like outlets for your mental health in order for it to properly work.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that medication shouldn't be seen in such a bad light in the way that it is, or the way that I've experienced that it is.
How is it like speaking to family or even friends about this stuff?
So at the beginning, I found it difficult to kind of open up to my parents that I had been diagnosed. So I'd been diagnosed and was taking medication before I told my parents.
Okay.
And I think there was just one day that I kind of cracked and I was just like, Dad, I need to like speak to you about something. And he was really, really supportive actually, which was surprising. I didn't think that he would be as supportive as he was.
What would you say to other people going through the same thing as you? And what would you say to other people who know nothing about this kind of stuff?
For people who don't know anything about this kind of stuff, I think the best thing to do is just to listen. And if you have friends who might be going through something, or even if you don't know that they're going through something, it's really easy to kind of send somebody a message and just be like, hey, how are you doing today? How's your week been? That kind of thing. And even if that person doesn't open up, I guarantee that the fact that you messaged them will make them feel so much better. Like even when I get messages from my friends, and I don't always say like, oh, I'm feeling really shit, I just say, yeah, I'm fine, I'm just tired or whatever. But the fact that they've messaged me and they've like taken time out of their day to like think about me, it takes like 10 seconds to write a quick message and send it. And the thought process behind that is so strong, like it really helps people who are in situations that you might not even know that they're in. And then for people who are going through the same stuff as me, I think that if I was to say something to like my younger self, I would say that what you're going through is like okay, and like even though there will be pushback and there'll be stigma, and you know, you need to be kind to yourself, because at the end of the day, this is a real health condition. A lot of the time, the majority of the time, it is like an actual physical thing that's happening in your brain. There's like an interaction that's happening that's not happening properly or something like that. So it can be attributed to an actual physical, biological issue.
Yeah.
So be kind to yourself, because, you know, if like you need to just support yourself and look after yourself, because it's completely fine and normal that you're feeling the way that you're feeling.